So this summer I was managing a hostel. 9 times out of 10, it was pretty like, you know, normal days, but then every once in a while some shit would pop off, and thus stories like this will be told. One Friday night, I checked in these 2 guys. One of them I had seen before, which is very strange because you usually don't get a lot of return guests in hostels. Now, his new friend was maybe like 6'5", real scruffy, and I would have totally been attracted to him had it not been for his blatant fuckery and bullshittery. Case in point, after I checked in both guys, one of them, the one that I thought would be cute, we're gonna call him Detroit Man. Detroit Man sits next to me in the living room, and he's, you know, asking me questions about the nightlife and things to do. And, you know, I'm giving him customer service realness, and I'm letting him know about all of the fascinating things to do in New Orleans. He comes out of nowhere and says to me, you know, I only date black women. So then he says, yeah, I only date black girls or Spanish girls, but they're usually strippers. And, you know, they have to have their hair together and their feet together because a woman with fucked up feet has a fucked up life. I guess, don't get me wrong, a bitch loves a pedicure, but at the time I was not keeping up on my clod hoppers, and I had Flintstone feet, and I was still wearing sandals. Like, I don't care, man. I thought immediately, you know, this nigga's about to clock my fucking feet. Turns out, you know, he was really feeling me because he was just like, you know, I'm gonna be here for a couple months. I'm getting a job downtown, and if you really wanted to meet up, we should. And we should, you know, exchange contacts. And I'm like, no, totally, totally. But what I wanted to say, why the fuck? My nigga, you just said that you only fuck strippers. Why would I want to be in contact with you? Why would I give you my number? Leave me the fuck alone. So then, these Australian guys that had been at the hostel for some time, you know, they went up to this guy and they're all talking and hitting it off. And everybody, you know, decides to go out together. And I'm like, oh, that's so great. I love when all the guests, like, decide to go out together because it's usually, like, a really good time for them and also a way for them to kind of not feel like they're alone in a strange city. And, you know, a couple hours later, I still was there. Now, keep in mind, it's like 3 o'clock in the morning. I only stayed late because I was doing an experiment with the washing machine and dryer. Long story, I'm not going to go into it. The Australian guys come back and they roll up on me. Like, they are on me as soon as they see me, and they're like, is Detroit Man here? Now, they didn't call him Detroit Man, that's me. But they were like, is Detroit Man here? And I'm like, no, why? And they look around like, you know, like on some mafia type shit. You know, get over here, like, keep your voices low. The fuck? So they say never mind, and they try to act like, you know, nothing even is going on. And I'm like, no. Like, what's up? What's up? When you work at a hostel, it doesn't matter if it's not your job specifically or if you're not even on the clock. It's kind of the type of job where you have to have, like, you know, a can-do attitude at all times. Like, no matter what, you have to kind of be on your shit. So no matter what time it is, if I'm there, they know I work there. It's fucked up to act like, you know, you're not available to the guests at a place where you work, you know, 6 days a week, even if it is my fucking day off, even if, you know, I'm not technically doing work there. But anyways, so I tell the guy, you know, just let me know. You know, whatever happens, whatever's going on, I'm not going to kick you out. I just want to know what's going on. So then they decide to spill the beans. They're telling me that Detroit Man told them that he knows a guy here, which is bullshit because he told me he just moved from Detroit to New Orleans to start his life over. So I doubt that he knows too many fucking people. They go on to tell me that he said he knows somebody in New Orleans that has cocaine. They put up $200 to this guy, and they had all decided at the club to meet back at the club to, you know, do the exchange of goods. What the boys are telling me is Homeboy Left never came back. They were at the club all night, the same spot. So I'm bugging. The only time I ever seen a coke deal go bad was in Grand Theft Auto. I'm just like trying to play devil's advocate. I'm just like, you know, maybe he got lost. He hasn't been here that long. He just got into New Orleans today. So I'm like, you know, maybe he was confused. You know, a lot of the streets do look the same. They're just like, yeah. You know, when he comes in, could you let us know? And I'm like, yeah, I got you. So I'm in the living room, you know, where I can see both entrances and exits. And I'm just like watching shit. About an hour later, the Detroit guy comes in with this older woman who is staying at the hostel with her daughter. He's like stumbling in, and this bitch is giggling like they coming in like teenagers. And as soon as Homeboy comes in the front door, the Australian dudes come in through the side door, Everybody ends up in the kitchen, and I'm trying to act like I'm doing some other shit. I'm like putting water in cups and fucking throwing them out and stuff. I'm doing crazy stuff, just trying to get the tea. The Australian guys come up to the Detroit man. They put their hands on him. They're like, hey, buddy, what's up? And the Detroit man goes kind of like bugging. He's just like, wow. He's like, get the fuck off me. He's like, I'll break your fucking arm. You know what I mean? So he's taking an aggressive stance, and automatically I'm like, that nigga don't got the coke. So then the Detroit man, he comes up with this whole story about how he went back to the club. He couldn't find the Australian boys, so he brought the drugs back to the coke man because he didn't want to get caught out with anybody else's drugs. And then he says that the coke is still available for them to get. It is on reservation. My nigga, I have never heard in my fucking life about coke being on reservation. You're not renting a car. You're not going to dinner. You're buying coke. If you buying coke, you give them the money, you get the coke. I'm sure that's how it goes. I don't know. I don't be buying coke. I'm almost 1,000,000% sure that there's no way in fucking hell that a coke dealer would ever put some shit on reservation. So I'm rolling my eyes. The Australian dudes are trying to play it cool day loud. Like, they're just like, okay, well, you know, how do we get the stuff from your man? And, you know, the guy is just like, oh, well, you know, I'll give him a call. You know, just give me a minute. You know, I'm trying to talk to this woman, da-da-da. And he's referencing the old ass lady acting all crazy. So everybody leaves the kitchen, and Detroit man takes the old lady into the bathroom. I go back there like about 10 minutes later to go and switch over my laundry, and I hear them going at it. They sound kind of loud, but maybe it's just me. I go back out on the patio to go talk to the Australian guys, and I can hear them through the window because the window's like kind of cracked, so you can hear them like fucking hella loud. We're all out there like, damn. We all was like, you know, snickering, laughing like fucking teenagers, and the old woman's daughter comes out on the patio and she's like, where's my mom? I lost my mom. Where's my mom at? You know, has anyone seen her? The Australian guy's like, yeah, your mom's getting shagged in there. You know, like they're just like making jokes and shit. And I'm over here hoping that this bitch don't believe them, you know what I mean? But it was so loud that homegirl ran up into the fucking bathroom. They're having an argument. I'm like trying to, you know, see where I can interject myself. The Detroit man is walking around looking kind of cray. Then there were these other Australian guys who were all in the mix too, and they were just like, hey, that guy earlier tried to sell us some cocaine. And I was like, for real? And they're like, yeah. So, plot thickens. This nigga's over here trying to sell cocaine to these other Australian dudes that are in the same room as the other Australian dudes. So I'm just like, oh my God, like this dude is so stupid. I go up to the other Australian guys and I'm just like, what is you guys' plan? Are y'all gonna fight this nigga? Like, what's up? You know what I mean? Because I need to know what's going on. The guy was just like, I'm sure if we fight him, you'll call the police. And I'm like, no, I won't. I shan't call them. Allah, I'd be like, take this nigga outside. Y'all go down the street. You fuck him up. That's 200 bones, bitch. I don't give a shit. So what ended up happening was I smoked out the other Australian boys. We all smoked a blunt. And then I talked to the Detroit man because I'm like, he was only supposed to stay like that last night and he was supposed to leave in the morning. His checkout was at 11 o'clock. And he came up to me and he was just like, I want a late checkout. And I was like, there is no late checkout. I was like, well, sir, I don't work in the morning. I was like, there is another person who works in the morning and it would be considerate to them if you were to check out on time. Because if you check out late, you know, he's really not hearing me. But I'm like, if you check out late, you fucking up our rooms. We need to have those rooms cleaned out. So if you over here trying to act like you're still in this room and you paid for it and you didn't, you fucking with our money, bitch. And plus, nigga, you stealing. And you trying to resell other people coke. Get the fuck out of here. You feel me? Like, nigga, we don't want you here. Undesirable. Like, what are you doing? So that was one of the craziest things that happened this summer. But it's not the craziest, so stay tuned.